We are recording. Hey friends, super excited to be here today and to really kind of have a wrap up here and talk about Teri's episode and kind of a little bit deeper dive. There was a lot of key points that Teri made when we visited with her earlier this week. If you have not listened to it, Teri's was episode number 3, and it was a really deep session. It was amazing. There was so many hot points. Like, I had my glitter pen out, no joke, because people are like, do you really have glitter pens, Laura? Had my glitter pens out and was taking notes and have like an entire page of notes. How about you, Amanda?
I do not have a glitter pen. I'm more of a Sharpie person. I do like colorful Sharpies though. But yeah, no, hers was, I was just so thankful that she's compelled to be open about her story because it's so powerful. And you just don't come across that often. And so I do think she revealed some very deep and dark, just points in her life. And I just thought it was incredibly brave because that's not easy to share and to own it. And but you could tell that because she did that, she's been able to not only heal, but then also, I guarantee you she's impacted more people than she will ever know.
Right. And I think that was kind of an aha thing too, is that when she used the word surrender, and that she chose when she was in treatment for her alcohol addiction, that she chose when she was there that she would never shy away from sharing her story, and she would wake up every day and say yes to God. That is powerful. And that's what she has done every single day. And that's so powerful to have her not have to relapse, because relapse and addiction is incredibly high. And so when I was listening to her, I'm literally like tears in my eyes, because I was like, it was so raw and real to me, having just recently, going through my divorce and dealing with addiction in my marriage, and having that be so hit so close to home. I was like, wow, this, to hear it from the addict's perspective about how it's just, you need to surrender. You have to surrender and give it all up. And
Yeah.
hearing it from, like, taking it from my perspective of being a person who loved the addict, it is so powerful to hear somebody like Teri, who is willing to own her story and to share her story, not shy away from it, because of that boldness, because of that huge step in faith. She is already impacting the masses, including me. Like, her story was so touching. And I think that so often when we hit rock bottom and we feel like we need to surrender for things in life, we don't know when that's going to be for somebody, right? If you're loving an addict, you're like, how, must be rock bottom, right? And so they've hit rock bottom this time. Things are going to change, and then you see them relapse, and then you're like, this must be rock bottom, and then you see them relapse again, because in reality, with addiction, the biggest fear is relapse, right? And so I think that surrender is just so powerful, and to wake up every day and say yes to God. I was like, wow, that's what I need to do as not an addict. I need to wake up and do that. And just the power in that is incredible. And it was so refreshing to hear from her and have her be raw and real with us, to just know that she's going to impact the masses. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, even with now when she's talking about, she's has these retreats and working with, different women on their businesses and being able to do that, she even mentioned that she was at the point of, it was like life and death. I mean, she had children, she had family, a family, and she said, like, on the outside, her life, people would have never guessed her life looked amazing, right? And so being able to just do that, and then again know that she has to check herself in to rehab, like, wow, like that takes a lot of courage and strength. And from that point on, I mean, it's been 10 years at this point that she's been in recovery, and I'm sure she is going to be helping a lot of people through that time, even with it's just through her story.
And it's, you can't, like, I found like so many times, like when you and I were visiting with Teri prior to like hitting record on her interview, we were talking about things like drinking and driving. Like, I mean, killing yourself, killing somebody else, like making really bad decisions in life because of an addiction or whatever it might be. So I am like the last person to judge someone because I've made some really crappy decisions in life, drinking and driving and doing stupid things when I was younger that I, to this day, regret. And I'm like, I'm so glad that I have now chose different, to be more responsible, obviously. But
Yeah.
there's things like that where you can't let those decisions, like I used to literally, like, it would paralyze me for like 3 days, like not get out of bed because of my guilt. And like, I was, like so mad at myself because I was like, oh my gosh, I never should have done that. Cops are going to show up 3 days later at my house or something and know I did it. Like, that's how bad my subconscious was, like, about
Yeah.
doing things like that. But I think part of that is forgiving yourself too. And you have to forgive yourself to be able to move on. And when you surrender, part of that is letting that go and
Yeah.
knowing that although you made mistakes in the past, you have to forgive yourself and say, hey, I forgive myself. I know what I did was wrong, and I'm going to learn from my mistakes and move
Right.
forward, right? So
Yeah.
that's powerful.
Yeah, you don't want to let that become your identity. So you absolutely can. You definitely need to face it, and like, and it's kind of interesting because we had another guest on, and she was talking about the difference between shame and guilt, and so I think that that's part of this too. Is like you can be you can have that guilt because you need to that's a part to check ourselves, right? If we do something, like, we have to be able to feel that and resonate that, but having that shame and living with that shame, you need to be able to let that go and not that be your identity, because when you do that and you let that go, then that's when you can move on. Because otherwise, if you identify with that, I feel like that's what would cause you to relapse, right? Like, it's me, it's part of me, that's what I did, that's what I do. And if you identify with that, then that's the issue. So I just thought that was it really correlated there. But I think that there's a lot of serious for sure discussion around this topic. And I know, like you said, personally, it's not something that anybody really wants to admit openly, but I've definitely, especially through, I mean, even if you want to talk through high school, through college, whatever, I've definitely drank and drive. And, and there's been plenty of times that it was just like, no, like it's horrible and it's scary. And, looking at even getting into the different discussions now about, kids and drinking and, just there's it's just such a heavy topic for sure, because I feel like it really does surround us, and everybody's probably been touched by it in a very serious way if you think about, like, just in their family, for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, I was in college and one of my roommates, like I always told him, I'm like, don't drink and drive. I'll always come get you. And then I moved away and was done with college and moved away. And he was killed one night drinking and driving on his way back. And it was one of the most like eye-opening experiences for me. And is a really big, like, smack in the face, like, wake up call. Like, when I got the call that he had passed away and it was late night, fell asleep behind the wheel after drinking and hit a tree and pretty much dead on impact. That was just a really raw, like, wow. Like, it doesn't, we are not invincible. Like, you think
Right.
that when you're drinking and you think that, like, oh, I can just do it. It's just one time. It's only a mile. I don't have far to go. No, it's not like that. And it does really impact people, and people really do die from these things. And it's sad, real topic that I'm glad that we can talk about that on here, because
Yeah.
that's what happens in life. And then Teri transitioned into talking about the next right step. And I think that's not only just about in business, right? So, like, what's the next right step if you're struggling with an addiction, or you're struggling with a bad habit, or you're struggling with something that you don't love about yourself, or it's not moving you in a direction to be who you know your purpose to be, then what is the next right decision? Instead of figuring out, like, I've got 27 steps to become who I want to become, what is one thing that you can do today that's going to get you closer to where you want to be tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
And so that was so powerful, I think. And I think that can be related to business, and I think that can be related to life in general, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that because a lot of times when we decide that, hey, we want to do something, whether it's I want to change my health, I want to, like get fit, I want to do this business, I want to get out of debt, I want to, all these different things that you can, seek to do. A lot of times we look at, we're so far away from, and that can be really, really hard when you're like, okay, well, am I ever going to get there or whatever. And so I think it's really powerful to make those, short little like goals. And like you said, what's that next right step? And as long as you're moving in that direction, I mean, I don't know if everybody, has seen the little graphics or whatever, where it talks about like, your starting point and then success. And, a lot of times we expect it to be from this starting point all the way up in a straight line. And that's just not how it is. It's like up and down and squiggly lines and backs and whatever. And you just need to keep moving in that direction. Because I even think, I can't remember who had said, you're either, what is it? You're not staying the same. So you're either going towards your goal or away from it. You're not staying the same. So every decision you make. So this is the thing. Think about this. We make gazillion decisions a day. So every single decision that you make is either moving you towards your goal or away from it. There's no neutral. Zero
Right.
neutral, you guys. And so that's a lot of pressure. I mean, I think about that time. I do not make plus one decisions, every single decision all day long. Like there's plenty of like, okay, no, this is one that's actually not contributing to my ultimate goal of what I want. I feel like I get better at it. I try to continue to make more and more of those, good decisions. But yeah, that's definitely a true factor. And people have to realize that you have to shift your decision-making abilities to the direction that is going to lead you towards your goal versus those slight edge. I think I had talked about this book before too, the slight edge decisions that lead you away from your goal. And so it's not this huge, huge, huge leap. It's just those little decisions that you make on a daily basis that is going to, be getting you to your goal.
And I think embracing when you feel like, oh, I just made a really bad decision, embracing the learning lessons out of that, because there's no wrong decision, there's no bad decision, but what can you learn? What are you going to learn from that experience, right? So actually taking that lesson and becoming better, because there's no, like, you don't wake up and, go on. Even children, how do they learn to walk? They fall down, they get back up, right? For us as adults, we make a decision to do this, it doesn't work, and then we make a decision to do this because it might work better, right? So it's constantly like reevaluating, what did I learn? How can I make the next best decision? Now I learned something from that and I can make the next best decision. And I think that in itself is so powerful. And that's where I think, Teri is just a powerful human being, because she is, I've got to experience her in her refined community, which is super fun. And she teaches those 6Ms, her and her team. She has an entire team of people that are there helping build the refined community, and they teach in the private Facebook groups and things like that. And I'm happy to be a member of that, and I absolutely love it. But when she talks about the 6Ms in our episode as well, she briefly goes over them, the 6Ms for success. And the cool thing about the refined community that she has built, which is just so powerful, it's an amazing community of Christian women that they dig deep into those 6Ms every single month. And it's really allows you to grow as full circle success, and to realize all aspects of your business and life, which is really fun. So she brings so much to the table and so much knowledge, and she's so humbled by her hot messes, so that she can really help the masses have success. And so it's been really fun learning from her.
Yeah. Did you say that now with a community, she has virtual meetings and in life meetings too?
Yes. So at the beginning of the month, I think they're in California, Washington, and Minnesota, maybe in Wisconsin, maybe right now. They're in 4 or 5 different states, so don't quote me on that, but we'll go to their website. We'll have all those details on here. But It does. She has two virtuals because there's so many people that wanted to connect across the United States all over. And so she's got two virtual meetings and then a bunch of in-person meetings because she believes in the meaningful connections. But what they do is they use Zoom meeting room. So when you go into the meeting on the virtual meeting, you do break off. So if it's a group of like 30 women on there, then they break you off into your own meeting rooms during it into smaller groups of like 5.
Oh,
And in those smaller
cool.
group meeting rooms, you get to actually dig deep and get to know those 5 women really well during that hour. And then you come back together at the end for additional training where all 30 are back together. And they just pair you up with whoever. So, and they do it intentionally to get to know new people that you probably don't know from different states and different chapters. Really
Does that happen, like, how often do they do those?
Yes. So all of the in-house meetings, like the in-person meetings are once a month, and then they have 2 virtual meetings so per month as well. So,
Wow.
and you can go to any of them. So you can go to both of the virtual meetings. If you're in an area that has multiple meetings, you can go to as many for your membership fee. You can go to as many meetings as you want, which is really fun. You can meet people
Yeah.
from all over.
That's
Travel.
awesome. Well, and just talk about being able to actually, connect with truly, truly connect with people. And that is, I mean, just even thinking about how does Teri talk about, I'm sure she does. Obviously she talks about, like, her addiction, and that's probably part of, what she brings to the group. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I think when somebody stands up and is courageous in that way, I would imagine that really inspires a lot of the people in her community to actually, do that in a similar fashion. Maybe not like leading the group and standing up in front of everybody, but being able to be more vulnerable and open and, real with other people, because it's like, okay, wow, I have so much admiration and respect and love for Teri. And, this is, she's sharing her shortcomings with me, that she's imperfect, and she's basically like owning that. And that has really helped me as a person. So me being able to do that. And I just love just thinking about the ripple effect of, that, I mean, across generations at that
It's
point,
so
right?
true because like when I went to the group meeting and met her, and then she talked about her book and overcoming the endeavors and having gone through addiction. And the minute she said that, she even just said the word addiction, I was like, oh, I can relate to you. I'm living this hell right now. Like I can relate to you. And there was so much power in that. That was so powerful to me. And I was like, I left that. I had a VIP pass and I went to that free meeting and I left there and I said, I found my people because
Yeah.
they could relate to me. And then the next time I went to a meeting, I wasn't afraid to say, hey, I'm going through this really difficult time in my life. And then a lady across the table says, my son is going through it. We've been dealing with it for the last, 7 years. He's in again or whatever. And now we've connect on a deeper level. And then she mails me a book just out of pure kindness and love. She mails me a book, connects me with her pastor at her church, like connects me to meetings that are like help support system. Like, I mean, that's what happens when you own it and you share. And so I always encourage people, like that was probably one of the biggest healing moments for me personally, is to own it and to just find a support system of people to support me during it.
Yeah.
Because then I was like, wow, I have all these people and I'm not alone.
Yeah.
We say it on every episode, but you're not alone. Like we think we're alone in depression and anxiety. We think we're alone, like we're the only one who's dealt with an addict in our life. We think we're alone because, you're drinking too much wine at night or whatever your struggle in life or your hot mess is. I guarantee you, you are not alone in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it's interesting because when you tell me how you found this group, Laura, because I mean, obviously it seemed like it was exactly what you needed, but how did you actually like stumble upon it or whatever? Because you said you were there and you're like, oh my gosh, she started talking about something you didn't even know, her history and stuff, that you just connected like at a meeting. So
I'll be really honest with you. I was part of a different networking group. And it was not. I posted in their Facebook page. This is a true story. I posted in their Facebook page and said I was launching. I had a Christian Facebook page, and I said I would love to connect with other Christian entrepreneurs. And my post was deleted. And so I had a conversation with the lady who ran that organization because I was very offended by that. I was like, hey, I want to connect with other Christian entrepreneurs. Like, what's the problem here? And she's like, well, we don't talk about religion. We don't talk about this. We don't talk about that. And I said, well, then you're not my people, right? Like, I mean, like, I should be able to, just like somebody says, I want to talk to people who want to lose weight. It's no different than I want to talk to people who are focused on Christianity or whatever, you know?
Right.
So it was, I was just, wow. And then somebody said to me, well, do you know, Laura, that Teri is actually launching a Christian entrepreneur community? And so the funny thing is, when I went there, I was going there because what Teri was doing was like, I thought Teri and I actually had an initial conversation about collaborating and working together, because I was creating content that was going to be for Christian entrepreneurs, and she had the in live community, and her and I had a conversation about like, hey, what are you doing, Laura? Maybe we can combine our businesses together. And obviously that didn't happen to this day because things went a different direction, but that's originally wise because
Well, thank God.
Right, right. Or we might not be here today.
Well, I mean, we'll still collaborate with Teri. I'm sure of it, but I'm glad that.
Right. But it was really powerful. And it was actually kind of being shunned by another community about what my beliefs were and wanting that.
Yeah.
And then walking into this community, and they had open arms, and they're like, come with all your brokenness, with everything that's going on in your life. You are loved. You are welcome here. You are accepted. Like, it doesn't matter. And you can talk about anything. And it was amazing. And so then I knew that's when I walked out and I was like, those are my people.
Oh, and that's the thing I really think. And, that type of thing like really pisses me off, especially when you're talking about being in a group that's supposed to be, supportive of whatever. Like you weren't reaching out or even saying like, hey, this is how you have to be, whatever. Like you were trying to connect with other people. I'm sure there's people in that group that would have loved to connect with you on that level. And I mean, with myself, it's interesting because I remember very vividly my entire, spiritual journey. And on either side, I would feel, I just think it's horrible to exclude anybody throughout that part. And I think we need to encourage people to be able to be themselves and be open and not shy away from that kind of thing. And it is very empowering when you are able to do that. And I think it's unfortunate that they shut it down because that doesn't let other people be open to any aspect of it. And that really segregates in general, because I know myself there was different times in college that I encountered some really, really not good people that represented religion for me. And so during that time, I can remember being very open with my mom and our family and just everything about like what I was thinking my personal beliefs were. It was a real struggle and a real challenge during that time. And that type of, kind of, I don't even know how to say it.
Judgment. It's judgment. Yeah.
That type of judgment, just, it's unfortunate because it actually did drive somewhat of a wedge between myself and God, because I was letting people represent what I was thinking is what God wanted and not my personal connection with him. And so it was totally different. It took me a long time. Even past the point to where John and I actually kind of connected on our spiritual journey together. And we dug deep into that because we're like, okay, like, well, we need to be real with ourselves. This is not a check mark in the box. Like myself personally, both of us grew up Catholic. I actually went myself and the only reason I went to catechism, I could walk to it because I was in a really small town. So I walked to church or catechism intentionally, sometimes by myself, because I just wanted to hang out with my friends. I had some friends that were there, so I did that. But then, I never really, through that process, I never had like a deep connection. Like it was just like, okay, this is what you do type thing. Yeah. And he had a similar experience. So we definitely, dove into that together, and it has to be real and authentic. And so that process to me, I mean, I'm not going to get into it, on this show. I think it'll probably come out, over time. And with different people that we have. But I think that, a spiritual, seeking out your spiritual connection is so incredibly important for sure. And just having that hope and that faith, I mean, it just changes everything.
It does. And I think that's so ideal conversation here because, when they talk about the 12 steps and addiction and recovery, it's higher power, having that higher power and surrendering to yourself and realizing that you are not in control. You have to break the chains. If you want to break the chains of addiction or bad habits or things you don't like that you're doing, you've got to totally surrender it. And so
Yeah.
there's so much power in that. So I think this week, what we were talking about before was like doing a challenge. And I think that would be really fun. I think a lot of us can think of something that we'd want to improve in our life, something. And so one of the things we want to bring you guys on these Thursday episodes as we kind of hash out the details of the previous episode is to really talk about like what actionable steps can I take out of this to, become a better person, right? To turn my hot mess into a message and to really take some good actionable steps and move forward in life. Because like Amanda said, you're either moving forward or backwards and there's no in between.
Yeah.
And so how can we move forward today? And so I want to share a little bit more about maybe our 7-day challenge.
Yeah. So, this kind of overlaps with, and the reason why we were bringing this up, we were thinking about this is because Teri, the way that this even came about to her, where she was forced to face that she had this addiction, was she decided that she wanted to be part of kind of this book club with this woman that she met. And throughout the book club, part of what it was, I think it was called The Uncommon Woman? I think that's what the book was about. I need to check it out. I think it sounds incredible. But so throughout that, the whole point is that they had to give up something while they were reading this book for the full duration. And she realized she started this process with this lady, and what she decided to do was give up drinking. She's like, okay, I have to do this. If I want to, get my life in order, this is the thing. This is the thing I have to do. And I think she said, I don't recall the time frame. I think she couldn't even go that week or something. And she was just like, that's it. She recognized it immediately. I could not give this up. So I think that's one of the things that we can do. And I do know, for example, John and I will go through different times of things where if we're traveling a lot or during the holidays or during the summer and we're just being really social and we're social drinkers and we're social eaters. We love food. And so we sometimes will have to check ourselves and be like, okay, we have to do a strict 30-day whatever with anything. So I mean, this is very powerful and it helps so much. Once you have those, I know for us, we have got to do this. We have to put ourselves in check. So yeah, figuring out what that means, what that is for you, and be like, okay, I've been struggling with this. This is something that, and it could be drinking wine in the evening. It could be sugar. It could be caffeine. Anything that deep down in your heart that bothers you, that you're like, ugh, I shouldn't be doing this, but you continue to do it. And it's that disappointment, and you don't need to be holding that disappointment with yourself. Once you go through something and you do it for 7 days, it's that you get confidence. You get confidence and you're like, okay. And then maybe you're going to string more than 7 days. I don't know what this could be, whatever it is for you. It could be like, hey, I'm going to go, I'm going to walk 7 days. I'm going to do, 30 minutes of brisk walking, which by the way is incredibly, incredibly healthy for you.
Yeah.
But maybe say I'm going to do 7 days of brisk walking out in the fresh air. You guys, that will change your life. Or I'm going to do 7 days of personal development reading. Just pick something that is going to get you closer to your goal. Stick with it and do it 7 days in a row.
And you guys think big on this. Okay. So think big, but I want you to really bring it back to center and think it doesn't have to be something big. Okay. Yeah. So say your goal is, you know what? I really want to be more present as a parent. So every night between 7 and 9, I'm putting away technology and I'm going to read a book to my kids every single night.
Yeah.
Right? Something like that. It's I'm going to do it for the next 7 days and I'm going to be present for 7 days, because then it becomes a habit. Your kids are going to love that moment. They're going to thrive on that. Aww. And then it totally changes, right? So if you're parenting, you want to improve on that. There's so many aspects. It doesn't have to be I'm going to quit smoking tomorrow if that's your bad habit, or I'm going to quit drinking. I mean,
but I will encourage you to do that if you want.
Yes, we are going to encourage you to do that. We'll give
There's
you all kinds of links for that. Okay.
Yeah, you know what we need to do too, I think is super cool is like we can share. I know they have these awesome apps that like kind of congratulate you. Like if I have
Yeah.
a day without whatever. I saw one of our friends doing that and I'm so freaking proud of her. She keeps posting it and I'm like, thank you. The reason why I see that too is like that's an accountability for that person and they're posting, that they've been, not smoking for 2 months or whatever. That's huge. And they're not looking for a ton of praise, but that support and knowing that they're calling themselves out. Like if you're challenged by this and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this. Tell people that are supportive and kind, tell people what you're doing because they can help you hold that accountable. And just even saying it even helps you be more accountable. And so I am going to, now this might not seem like this has been something that I've been trying to do for so long. This isn't getting rid of something or a bad habit. This is adding something in. I was just mentioning this to somebody today. I really, really, really want to be able to meditate on a daily basis. And I've tried and I probably will go 3 to 4 days. It just never connects to me. And I know how important it is. Like we need to de-stress as much as like we're, wired pretty high. That's something to me. I know I need to do this for, my health, for just everything. Then, like you said, being able to just bring it back to center, connect with, my daughter, connect with my husband, I work from home. I can work 24/7 because there's always something to do. So to be able to just turn that off, that's what I'm going to do. I need to do that. And hopefully I'll continue to string, 21 days to make a habit. So maybe I'll string that away, like three
Right.
7-day challenges together. So
what I'm going to do, I'm going to challenge myself for the next 7 days and really pray that it continues way beyond that because my kids will love this too. But one of the things I actually invested in a parenting course, and that was when I was, still married and we were all living together. But now as a single mom household, it does become a little bit more challenging. And at the moment, what it was, the parenting course encouraged you to take 10 minutes with each child alone. Like they get to choose what they do every night and the siblings don't get to be there. And so it's a little bit more challenging as a single mom because I have to make sure the other two are entertained, right? Or entertaining each other, or do it after Cecilia goes to sleep at night is what I'll probably do because the older ones love this because we did do it for a little bit. And then mass chaos, shit hit the fan and then whatever. So now I need to get back to center to give my kids this time because they loved it because it was during the day. It'd be like, so then when I was on my phone or I was working or I was doing something, they were so looking forward to their 10 minutes. So, and it would usually go 30 minutes. And so I would just allot for that because they get so excited. They're like, oh, it's over already. I want to do that. Or can we, they'd come with stuff like, can we do trucks? And it's not my decision. Like I can't choose, hey, we're going to read for 10 minutes. It was like, JD would be like, I just want to play trucks or will you play farm with me? Zizi would be like, will you read to me? Will you play Barbies with me? For whatever. So they focus on 10 minutes, even like set a timer because kids are all about, visualization, right? Seeing it. And so I'm going to get back to that because my kids loved it. I loved it. It made me take a break. And I know with us even just being so busy with work and podcasting and all that stuff right now, and I've had like, a nanny on, a nanny off, all this crazy stuff, help with child.
Yeah, summer's been all over the place for sure.
So it'll be really fun to get back to center and to put my kids first. That's going to be what I'm going to do for the next 7 days and really try to make it last forever. Like, because I know my kids love it too. So
I love it. That's awesome. All right, you guys. Well, that is your challenge. That is what we are going to leave you guys with. And we'll have to report in and start sharing. If you guys hop on our Facebook page, tell us what you're going to give up. Hashtag, we didn't even use just hashtag 7-day challenge, hot mess success, whatever. So we'll have to figure that. What are we going to do? We do need to give them a hashtag now. Let's give them a hashtag. It's not just 7-day challenge, is it? What would we do?
Hot mess challenge
hot mess challenge. Let's just do that. Hashtag hot mess challenge. And let us know what you guys are going to, give up or start or whatever it is that you feel compelled to do. We're going to start with 7 days and in hopes that we continue on after that. But I think that consistent 7 days is a great place to start because it's not overwhelming, right? It's like, okay, I'm going to commit to this for those 7 days and I'm sure it's going to be awesome. So
thanks so much for listening today, you guys. We'll catch you on the next episode.
All right, later.
Bye.